Welcome back to Coin Nexa Vault. Before we dive in, I need you to understand something. The quarter sitting in your change jar right now might not be as ordinary as you think, because today we are going through 3 specific Washington quarters that collectors are actively hunting, each one more remarkable than the last. And the final coin on this list is something that even experienced dealers have been known to overlook completely, so stay locked in from start to finish. The 1980D Washington quarter is one of those coins that gets passed over every single day by people who have no idea what they are actually holding. And here is the thing that makes this particular date so interesting to collectors. It came out of the Denver Mint during a period when production pressure was at an all-time high, and when a mint is pushing enormous volume, the quality control that protects against striking anomalies starts to slip in ways that create genuinely collectible results. Now, the first thing you want to do is pick up your 1980D quarter and hold it under a direct light source, angling it slowly so the surface catches the light at a low, raking angle. Numismatists call this technique coin roll hunting under a lamp. And what you are specifically looking for on this coin is the area just above the date, near the base of Washington's neck, where doubling on the die can sometimes appear as a faint but visible shadow or ghost outline behind the primary design element. You also want to examine the mint mark itself, the small D tucked just to the right of the ribbon on Washington's Q, because on certain 1980D examples the placement sits noticeably higher or lower than standard, and that kind of positional anomaly is exactly what a grading service like PCGS or NGC will flag during authentication. Now let's talk about what this coin can actually be worth, because in circulated condition, sure, it is a quarter, but a 1980D Washington quarter that grades out at a certified MS67 or higher has sold at auction in the range of several $100s, and examples with confirmed die doubling or strike anomalies push well past that into the low thousands, depending on the severity and the documentation behind the error. The Denver Mint in 1980 was operating at record output levels, striking hundreds of millions of coins to meet demand across a rapidly growing economy. And that sheer volume is precisely why errors from this year survived. Individual coins were not being examined with the care a lower mintage run would have received, which means mistakes made it into circulation, and some of those mistakes are sitting in collections right now without their owners even knowing. As always, condition is everything. A coin that has been cleaned, polished, or mishandled will not grade well regardless of how rare the underlying variety is. So if you think you have found something, do not clean it, do not test it. Take it directly to a third-party certification service like PCGS or NGC before doing anything else. But here is what I will tell you. If you thought the 1980D had some interesting things going on beneath the surface, the next quarter on this list takes everything up a level, and the specific detail you need to check for is something that stumped even experienced roll hunters when it first started showing up. Next, 1990D Washington quarter. And I want you to pay close attention here, because this coin has a reputation in collector circles that its modest appearance does absolutely nothing to suggest. The 1990D Washington quarter comes from a year that sits in a fascinating transitional window for American coinage. The Denver Mint in 1990 was operating in the final years before major design discussions began to circle around the state quarter program, and that era produced coins with some of the most interesting die characteristics of the entire modern Washington quarter series, particularly when it comes to what collectors call strike quality inconsistencies across different die pairs, used throughout that year's production run. Here is exactly what you need to examine. Flip your 1990D quarter over to the reverse side and look specifically at the eagle's breast feathers, the cluster of feathers centered just below the neck. On a well-struck example, those individual feather lines are sharp, separated, and deeply impressed into the metal, but on certain 1990D quarters, incomplete die fills during the striking process left those feathers soft, mushed together, or partially missing, and that contrast between a weak strike example and a fully struck example is what drives the price gap between a common coin and a genuinely sought-after specimen. You also want to check the D mint mark on the obverse, positioned just to the right of Washington's ribbon, and on some 1990D examples, collectors have documented what appears to be a repunched mint mark, meaning the D was struck slightly off position and then corrected, leaving a faint secondary impression visible under magnification at about 5 to 10 times power. A standard circulated 1990D quarter is face value, full stop, but a certified MS67 example with full, sharp strike detail has commanded prices in the $400 to $800 range at certified coin auctions, and confirmed RPM varieties with strong visual evidence of the repunching have crossed into the low thousands when the right collector is in the room. The Denver Mint struck well over 600 million quarters in 1990, which means the vast majority of these are completely common. But that volume also means the interesting die varieties that occurred had plenty of chances to survive into collections, and the people who know what to look for are finding them in original rolls and old storage boxes right now. As with every coin in this video, please do not clean or alter anything before getting it authenticated. The surface preservation on a coin like this is a huge part of what determines its certified grade, and one wipe with a cloth can drop a potential MS67 down to a details grade that loses most of its premium value. Now, I have been building toward this third coin since the start of the video, and I want to be honest with you, the 1990D has genuinely interesting things going for it, but what is coming next is on a completely different level, and if you have ever done any coin roll hunting at all, the detail I am about to give you is something you will want to write down. Next, 1998D Washington Quarter. And this is the coin that rounds out this list in a way that I genuinely think is going to surprise you, because on the surface the 1998D looks like just another late 90s Washington Quarter, common date, high mintage, nothing that screams rare, and that surface-level ordinariness is exactly why so many valuable examples of this specific coin have been spent, lost, or sitting unrecognized in collections for the past 2.5 decades. Here is the background you need. 1998 was the final full year of the original Washington Quarter design before the State Quarters program launched in 1999 and changed American coinage permanently, which means 1998D quarters were struck right at the end of an era, and the Denver Mint was running production at massive scale with dies that, in some cases, had been used far beyond their optimal lifespan, and overused dies create something called die deterioration doubling, a specific type of surface anomaly that is very different from true hub doubling but that still catches collector attention and drives real premiums in the right grade. Now here is your visual inspection checklist for the 1998D. Start on the obverse and go straight to the word Liberty along the upper left arc of the coin. On certain 1998D examples, the letters show a slight but visible shelf like doubling along their lower edges, most visible on the letters L, I, and B, and you need a loop of at least 5 power to see it clearly, but once you see it, it is unmistakable. Then flip to the reverse and examine the left talon of the eagle. The cluster of arrows gripped in that talon should show clean, individually defined shaft lines, and on fully struck premium examples the definition is razor sharp, while on weak strike examples those lines blur into each other, and that quality difference is exactly what separates a common coin from one worth submitting for grading. A 1998D Washington Quarter in certified MS67 condition has sold in the range of $300 to over $1,000 depending on the specific strike quality, eye appeal, and any documented variety characteristics, and confirmed double die obverse examples with clear, photographable evidence of the doubling have generated serious collector interest at specialty coin shows and online auctions alike. What makes this coin the right finale for today's video is that combination of historical significance, being the last year of the original design, and the very real possibility that you have one of these in a drawer or a jar or an old roll right now, completely unexamined, and it might be worth far more than 25 cents. Always remember, condition, certification, and documentation are what separate a coin worth submitting from one worth spending. Never clean it, never polish it, and when in doubt, take it to a professional before making any decisions. If you've got a coin like any of these sitting at home, drop a comment and let me know. And if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you never miss the next one.